I told Cheryl, she said, we got to get a dog trainer. I said, okay, well, look on Yelp. We don't know any dog trainers. She said she punched in highest rated dog trainer in the high desert. I had told her to punch in highest rated exorcist in the high desert because this dog was a bad dog. But anyway, this guy shows up to our house, and I never met Jason before. And I said, he runs our dog through a little routine. And I said, so is this what you do every day? You just go to people's house and train their dog? He said, no, everybody comes to my house. I only come to your house. And I said, you only come to my house? He said, why you come to my house? I would have come to your house. And he said, well, my wife goes to your church. And I said, okay. I laughed. I said, okay, well, now I understand why she's probably saying, well, Pastor Tom, you got to go to his house. But I immediately said, now I'm stuck with this guy, right, for 15 dog training lessons. He's going to be sitting in my front row for 15 hours over the next 3 months. And I said, this is just a setup. This is just a beautiful set. This guy wasn't even in the theater, man. And he walked into the balcony, right down, sat him on my front row seat. And now, he and his whole family, she was coming to church already sporadically. He and his whole family, it's just beautiful every weekend, just sitting there. That almost takes up a whole row, the whole family. But, I could just those are potentials. I had a doctor, an orthotics doctor. And so now I got to go for orthotics appointments. Dang, I don't want to spend that money. I have to pay that money out of my pocket. My insurance doesn't cover that particular need. Okay, I'll go. And now I'm talking to the same guy every week for a couple of months. And he's a Giants fan. And I'm a Dodgers fan. Travis, what are the chances that God would throw a Giants fan and a Dodgers, this is the way the Lord builds his kingdom. It's through those relationships. And when a church family, and I would just say, I don't know how much longer we're going to go here, but I would just say this. Every church exists because of the Oikos Principle. 95% of every person in that room, ask them. I mean, if you're a pastor listening to what Travis and I are talking about today, just figure out what Oikos is, explain it to your church, put a little chart up there so they can see it, and then ask them. How many of them gave their hearts to Christ primarily because of the influence of someone in that group? And after everybody raises their hand, just say, keep your hands up for a minute. And folks, look around the room. This is the way that question is always answered. No church exists without the Oikos Principle. So God has done an amazing work. It's like he needs us. Paul goes to the Areopagus and he's talking to these guys saying, God doesn't need our help, right? Mm-hmm. That's what he told them. He said, all these temples, all these gods need your help. The unknown God you worship that I'm declaring to you, he doesn't live in a temple. He doesn't need your help. God doesn't need you. He doesn't need me. He has invited us into this incredible relationship of seeing people know him. The greatest joy that we have is that people would know Christ. And when people on our front row come to know Christ, and it's not out of sinful pride, but you sit back watching them get baptized, Travis, watching them get baptized, and you're sitting back and you're saying to yourself, I had a piece of that. There's no feeling in the world like that, because that's why the commission is so dang great, because we get to be a part of it. And, God can come up with a better plan. I mean, Lord knows, and I mean that literally, Lord knows it would have been more effective. That he loves us so much. He said, I'm going to give you a seat at the table, and then I'm going to let you be a part of me changing the world. And so now the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and now the country's blowing up. The church is losing market share, and the only place it's growing is in places in the world where the Oikos principle is front and center. And I'm saying, just if God built, Pastor, if you're looking at 100 people, 90% of the churches in this country are not led by a mega church leader. If you're looking at 100 people Sunday morning, 95 of them are there because of the Oikos principle. Just think what could happen at your church if they became intentional about it. And that's the whole challenge of the Great Commission. That it's intentionality. Mm-hmm. It's an assumption you're going, but now be intentional about making disciples. And it's that intentionality factor that really separates the men from the boys and the women from the girls, I guess. That's just an old statement, so I don't want to sound sexist, but it does separate the mature from the immature in the kingdom of God and in kingdom work.